$1.3 trillion in a single quarter? I did not have the food sector driving this M&A boom on my bingo card.
44.8 billion of that is just Unilever offloading its food division to McCormick. It is not a boom, Nate. It is a garage sale.
A $45 billion garage sale? I want to live in your neighborhood. Are we actually buying this global flavor powerhouse narrative?
I need to read the footnotes first, because antitrust watchdogs are definitely going to choke on that much spice. The rundown.
$33.4 billion for a power company. GIP and EQT teaming up to swallow AES Corp whole. The infrastructure megafund era is just flexing right now.
Flexing right into a regulatory brick wall. I pulled the initial filings this morning. You actually think Washington is going to wave through two private equity giants cornering that much US grid capacity?
Yes, because they have the capital to actually upgrade the grid. Regulators know the government cannot fund the energy transition alone. It is a perfect marriage of capital and necessity.
Oh, please. Since when does antitrust care about your macro energy thesis? They care about market concentration. Regulatory experts are warning that merger control is shaping transaction design from day one now. They are accelerating scrutiny to kill weak cases early.
I am betting it closes. They will make the necessary concessions. Meanwhile, Sysco just quietly finalized their takeover of Jetro Restaurant Depot, $29.1 billion.
Quietly? It is the biggest wholesale food deal of the decade, but I guess it got buried under the financials and pharma news. Zurich expanding into specialty insurance with a $10.8 billion buyout of Beazley. Plus, Biogen picking up Apellis for $5.6 billion.
The pharma patent cliff panic is so real right now. Every corporate development team in life sciences is running around with a blank check trying to buy future revenue. It is almost desperate.
I disagree on Biogen. It is a highly strategic bolt-on. The deal structure is incredibly clean. I read the term sheet and there are no weird milestone earnouts obscured in the footnotes. Just a straight cash play.
Fair enough. But speaking of weird, my favorite piece of gossip today. Danone is buying Huel, the powdered nutrition stuff. 1 billion euros.
Wait, really? The brand backed by Idris Elba.
The very same. Stringer Bell is officially cashing out to Big Dairy.
That is amazing, but I give the target management team exactly 6 months before they bail. The data on this is brutal right now. 74% of organizations suffer moderate to high leadership turnover within the first year of an acquisition.
You cannot expect tech bro nutrition founders to survive in a legacy French multinational. The culture clash alone is going to be spectacular.
True. But 1 billion euros is literally a rounding error compared to the monster food deal that just hit the wires.
Oh, absolutely. If you thought Sysco was massive, wait until you hear what Unilever is cooking up with McCormick. The big one, $1.3 trillion in 3 months. I just need to say that out loud so my brain can actually process it.
It's a staggering number for Q1. We're looking at a record-breaking start to the year.
And the food sector is driving the bus right now, which brings us to the absolute monster sitting on the table today. McCormick finalizing a deal to buy Unilever's entire food business for $44.8 billion.
I read that press release 3 times this morning looking for the typo. $44.8 billion. McCormick's market cap before this leaked was what? 20-something? They're swallowing a whale.
A very heavily seasoned whale.
Okay, I walked right into that one. But seriously, this is where I get incredibly skeptical. Unilever has been trying to figure out what to do with its food division for years. It's a slow growth anchor. And they somehow just convinced McCormick to pay a massive premium to create an undisputed global flavor powerhouse.
You're way too cynical on this one. Look at the shelf space. McCormick gets absolute dominance in the grocery aisles globally. You pair McCormick's spice margins with Unilever's massive distribution network for condiments and sauces. It's a classic, brilliant consolidation play.
Brilliant for Unilever. They get nearly $45 billion in cash to go reinvest in health and personal care, where the margins actually make sense. McCormick is buying a legacy portfolio that requires an absolute nightmare of operational integration.
They're buying pricing power, Maya. When you control the ketchup, the mustard, and the garlic powder, you make the rules with the grocers.
Pricing power only works if you can actually keep the talent that knows how to run the global supply chain. I pulled the industry reports on consumer mega deals this morning. 74% of organizations suffer moderate to high leadership turnover within the first year of an acquisition like this.
Sure, but McCormick knows how to run food.
74%, Nate. You think McCormick's executive team is ready to run Hellmann's mayonnaise across 60 different countries when all the Unilever veterans cash out their retention bonuses and walk out the door?
I think if you put a motivated banker in a room with $45 billion, they'll figure out how to sell mayonnaise.
That is exactly the kind of pitch deck hubris that destroys shareholder value.
I resent that, but I also know you're probably right. Honestly, my favorite part of this whole thing is going to be the regulatory theater.
Oh, the antitrust watchdogs are going to have a field day. Regulators are accelerating scrutiny on these mega mergers to kill weak cases on day one.
Imagine the DOJ lawyers trying to define the total addressable market for paprika. It's going to be amazing.
If McCormick thinks they're closing this before next year, they're hallucinating. We'll be watching the regulatory wires closely on this one.
Definitely, but food isn't the only sector throwing around wild money this quarter. We need to talk about what GIP and EQT are doing with $33 billion in the power grid. Voices. So the analysts are out in full force this week, and the consensus is basically that AI is eating the world. I am looking at a note right now claiming nearly half of all strategic tech deals over $500 million are being driven entirely by an AI target or an AI rationale. Half.
I saw that note, and honestly, I think the word rationale is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Oh, come on. You don't think the AI premium is real?
I think bankers are doing what bankers do best, Nate. They're slapping the letters A and I onto every pitch deck to justify a 30% premium. But look at the other report that dropped this morning about the quote-unquote human value gap.
Right, the leadership turnover numbers.
Exactly. 74% of organizations are seeing moderate to high leadership turnover within the first year of a mega deal. 74! You can buy all the AI startups you want, but if 3/4 of the leadership walks out the door by month 12, what exactly did you just buy?
You bought the code, you bought the models. In tech, sometimes you actually want the founders out of the way so the adults can integrate the IP. I have absolutely built deal models, assuming zero founder retention.
That's incredibly cynical, even for a recovering banker. You're buying an AI company, Nate. The asset goes home at 5 p.m. If the engineers leave, the code rots.
Fair point. But the real bottleneck isn't the engineers leaving, it's the regulators. The legal experts are screaming from the rooftops today that merger control is dictating transaction structures from day one. Regulators are hunting for weak cases the second a rumor drops.
Which is exactly why I'm terrified for whoever is drafting the antitrust filings for this massive Unilever and McCormick deal.
Oh, the flavor powerhouse. We have to talk about that $44.8 billion elephant in the room. Spill the tea. I just want to know if Idris Elba is going to start doing yogurt commercials now.
Please tell me you aren't buying the synergy narrative on this Danone and Huel deal.
1 billion euros for the official beverage of stressed out tech bros. I actually love it. Danone needs edge. Huel gives them edge and drinkable protein sludge.
It gives them a massive integration headache. Look, Huel is built entirely on founder personality and celebrity backing. Danone is a legacy French dairy conglomerate.
Exactly, yin and yang. Global distribution meets brand heat.
I give it 6 months before the culture clash goes nuclear. Did you see that industry report this week? 74% of companies see moderate to high leadership turnover in the first year after an acquisition. 74. The Huel guys are absolutely going to vest and rest.
Oh, come on, you're so cynical today. Maybe they actually want to scale the global mission of nutritionally complete powder?
Nate, you used to build these pitch decks. You know exactly what happens. The earnout period ends, and the cool founders disappear to start a venture fund.
Okay, guilty. I may have written a few integration slides, knowing full well the target's CEO was already shopping for a private island. Just like the sports deals right now. Rip City Rising grabbing a majority stake in the Portland Trail Blazers.
Sports M&A is just billionaires trading shiny toys. I can't even pretend to care about the multiples there when half the tech sector is just slapping AI on their pitch decks to get bought.
Hey, it works. Look at the data. Nearly half of all tech deals over 500 million right now are driven by an AI rationale.
Rationale is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. Mostly it's just panic buying.
You hate fun.
I like numbers that make sense, which is why we need to look at the grocery aisle.
Right. Because if you thought 1 billion for protein powder was wild, wait until you hear what McCormick is paying for Unilever's food business. Tomorrow's radar.
I'm glued to the regulatory wires tomorrow. If antitrust watchdogs don't push back on this $44.8 billion Unilever and McCormick mega merger, I'll eat a heavily seasoned shoe.
You're overestimating the overlap. They'll divest some European mustard brands and it sails through. The real regulatory bloodbath is GIP and EQT swallowing AES Corp.
Oh, come on. $33.4 billion is massive, but it's pure infrastructure. Regulators love private infrastructure money.
Not when two mega funds team up to buy a giant chunk of the US power grid. The political optics are a nightmare.
I need data before I buy that narrative. Right now, I just want Eli Lilly's SEC filings tomorrow to read the Centessa footnotes.
Fair. Also, watch Danone. They just scooped up Huel for 1 billion euros.
The powdered food?
The Idris Elba-backed powdered food.
Stringer Bell is selling meal replacements. Incredible.
Exactly, which is the perfect pivot because if we're talking celebrity money, we have to talk about who just bought a majority stake in the Portland Trail Blazers.